and expense claims.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting situation, this one. Basically, for a number of decades now, farmers have had certain claims for their home and the use of the home, and they've been automatic, and even all the accountants around New Zealand have been using it. They've now come out with a draft interpretation statement. So basically, they're trying to hit an industry that I think is down, and really put the boot in. And what they're trying to say is the automatic 25% claim that you've had, we're not going to allow that anymore. We're going to reduce that, and they're looking at making it 15%.
That's going to make a big difference to a lot of people because that is the office.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. Farmers use their home as more than just the office. It's for everything. And IRD really haven't even taken that into account. They've just gone on, I think, looked at it and thought, right, how can we increase the revenue base? Let's just slash that down. It's always been a given that farmers get that 25%. But to go from 25 down to 15 makes a big difference to the bottom line for some farmers.
Will that include GST? Because I think some things are GST-able for the one.
Yeah, so what it basically means that 25% of any home expenses, so your insurance, your repairs, those sort of things, you'll only be able to claim the 15% overall and then only get GST on that 15% portion. Whereas at the moment you get 25% on the, as a claim for GST purposes.
When does it start?
At the moment it's a draft statement, so they're out there looking for people to comment.
There'll be quite a few accountants.
Yeah, well, the moment I read it, it wound me up because there's no justification in any of the documents that they've put out. They've just come out and said, we're going to reduce it. We think it needs to be done. And if they do get their way, it'll kick in for the 17-18 tax year. So it's not very far away at all. But just on top of it, they're also going to try and look at the home phone. At the moment, you get a 100% claim. They want to go ahead and actually make that down to 50% as well. So they're trying to cut everywhere. The downside is that for most farmers, it'll cost them more in the long run. Not only tax, but also accountant doing the books because they'll have to get in there and fiddle with all the telephone and work out what's personal and business, etc. Whereas at the moment you can just put it through. So a lot more work for everybody if they have their way.
Employment breaches, they still continue to happen.
Yeah, the agriculture industry just seem to be carrying on. They're just one after another at the moment. So we've had a strawberry farmer up north come out and been fined $6,000 because he didn't meet the employee's minimum rights, so no written agreement, didn't keep holiday records and leave records, etc. For some reason, the agriculture industry just doesn't get their heads around it, and they really need to step up. The labour inspectors have come out and said they're going to keep an eye on, especially this, because it's coming up to picking season for the strawberry farmers. And if they see this sort of thing going on, they're going to clamp down straight away because it's just an ongoing issue, and it's not just that industry, it's across the whole agricultural sort of sector.
So this is different to somebody going through a claims court because they think they were dismissed unfavourably.
Yeah, very different. This is basically the employer not doing what they're supposed to do. So they've got to give everyone a written employment agreement, pay them a minimum wage, keep record of their holidays, make those records available. This is the things they're not doing. So they just completely ignored it, started paying some people to work on the farm basically, and didn't do the rest of this behind the scenes stuff because probably too time consuming for them and can't be bothered, hoping they'll never get caught.
But they will be.
Yeah, and it's just now that this has been reflagged and there's been a few other cases that have come out where employers aren't doing their thing, you can expect there'll be more and more coming.
Who's tipping IRD off?
Well, in this case, it was the workers themselves. They put the complaint through that they weren't getting their agreements, they weren't aware of their holiday entitlements, and they couldn't even get evidence of what holidays they had and what they're entitled to. So they were the ones that started doing the complaining. They're obviously quite clued up on that. But a lot of the workers would just sort of carry on as if it was the norm.
Well, the workers may not know themselves, of course.
Well, exactly, yeah. But as an employer, you've got to do your legal responsibilities. You can't sort of sidestep them.
And then there's KiwiSaver.
Yeah, well, KiwiSaver on top of all that you've got to do. So really, it's a case of if you're taking on staff, even if they're only seasonal workers, put a call into the accountant. The accountants know it all, and they can guide you through that process so you can avoid these fines and all these prosecutions that are happening.
Some accountants, or you I know, will actually do the payroll.
Yeah, we do that for a lot of people, and all accountants are set up for it. They'll either do it in-house for you, or they can help you with an option that you can do it yourself, depending on which way you want to go. In reality, it's more cost effective for your accountant to do it because there's less chance of mistakes being made, especially around the holiday leave and your KiwiSaver calculations, those sort of things.
And there's computer systems?
There's a lot of computer options out there. There's some where they're actually on the computer, what they call a desktop solution, or there's some in the cloud where it's all over the internet. So it's just a matter of talking to your accountant, finding out what they recommend and what's going to meet your needs.
Now, the dairy industry, they seem to be getting whipped left, right, and centre.
Yeah, well, we just obviously had the government come out and just make the announcement that the primary sector committee are going to look at just keeping an eye on the competition in the future and sort of ramping that up a wee bit. Really, the consumers are going to be the winners in the long run. The farmers are still going to carry on farming as they are, but it's just to make sure that competition's out there and there's a lot of brands and product out there to compare and everyone wins sort of thing.
Is that sort of heading towards deregulation?
Yeah, they're going to be sort of looking at the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act, making sure that Fonterra can have discretion around, say, the shareholders they want to take on. There's some things around there, and just sort of making rules around who gets the milk from Fonterra, etc.
Because that was set up in 2001, so it's probably ready for a revamp.
Well, yeah, the South Island one is about to expire, so they're doing this before it expires and gets it all sort of lined up, ready for the next few years ahead, basically.
Speaking of dairying, you've got a lot of immigrants coming in to work on dairy farms. That's in itself a minefield for an employer.
Yes, not only do you have your employer responsibility, you also got to think about their requirements where they can actually work here. So work visas and those sort of things are important to check out. And there's I know there's a publication out there that's available for dairy farms to actually download off the internet, which talks all about it just for the industry.
Because there seems to be, but from my observation, a big trend towards using immigrants.
Yeah, I think that's basically because they do the work.
Without putting too fine a point on
Well,
it.
it is.
No, but I mean, you did right. You talk
Yeah.
to a dairy farmer, and the first thing they'll say is that the Kiwis don't want to do it. They probably smoke pot, and they really don't like getting out of bed. So
Yeah,
they go,
exactly. Whereas the immigrant workers, they'll get up, they'll do it because they want to get that money so they can send it back home to their families and get ahead. That's just the pure reality of it.
Well, it is really, which is good. So the immigration, and then of course you've also got, as I understand, health cover and things for them if they were to.
Yeah, there's a lot of things as the employer that you need to be sort of looking at. You want to really make sure you look after them because a lot of things can go wrong. So it's pays to check all those boxes and get them sort of lined up before they get on the farm.
Do you get involved with how good the accommodation is and all that sort of thing?
Not quite that level, but we do give a bit of a guideline as to what the minimum requirements are, and it's got to be reasonable for them. You don't expect sort of 5-star, but you don't want to give them
the dog kennels.
Exactly.
Without breeding. Yeah, yes. Exactly. And so basically, for dairy farmers, and a lot of them aren't making any money, how's that looking? Are you getting through that?
Yeah, most of them are hanging in there. The doom and gloom that was there in the past probably has moved on. Farmers are optimistic that it's going to come right. They're out there doing it. They're loving what they're doing. They wouldn't do anything else.
Resilience.
And they just know that at some point they'll start making money again.
Thanks very much indeed.